What's up, YouTube? You guys know how much I love the NWA, and man, it's an honor, it's a pleasure, because today we're talking to their champion, their world's heavyweight champion, Trevor Murdoch. What's up, man?
How's it going, Malcolm? Thank you for having me, buddy.
Dude, it is an honor, it's a pleasure, and I just want to jump into this. And usually, like, I can start off talking about the big title win and just like your entire run coming back to NWA, but like I want to talk about something just a little bit different for a second. You have a full-grown beard now. This is crazy. Like, you were the guy with the mutton chops in WWE. Like, I grew up watching you with like the chops, and there's so many other wrestlers in this history that's had like mutton chops. CM Punk had at one point, Kenny Omega, Harley Race. So many other people had these chops, but now you're the chop king. And now you got a whole beard. Why'd you grow out a beard? I mean, it looks great, but like, why you got a whole beard now?
Man, it's winter time where I'm at. I live in Missouri, and we're getting 19-degree weather. And not to mention, my wife wanted a little something different. I didn't mind a little something different. Change does not work well for me. I'm just, I know what works for me, and I stick with it. So, really, it's just having a little fun, trying to step outside the box, as weird as that may sound. Not to mention, man, I just little different look. Just, again, I don't change much in my life, and so it's just a little bit different for my look, especially being an NWA guy. On top of that, Harley at one time had the full beard with the chops, So I'm just going through my phases. You just got to pick a year.
I like it. Hey, change is good sometimes. And like, you have changed a lot actually, because now you're the world's heavyweight champion. I mean, dude, the title win was huge. I mean, you won in NWA 73, the Chase Ballroom. It was electric. I wish I was there. I just watched it on pay-per-view, just in hammer, just watching this incredible moment. I know this might be a basic question, but what was it like winning that championship? What was going through your head when the referee hit the 3 and you knew for that one moment, you're like, oh crap, I did it. I'm the champ. What was your thoughts?
I've had moments in my career, different times. I've been wrestling for 22 years. So I've been blessed to have some spectacular moments, but that moment, everything just paused and went slow motion. I've watched the match back a couple times since then, and the reaction, the love, the respect, from everybody that I received when I finally reached the top of the mountain. You'll see at one point at the very end, right before I go up to the top for the Bulldog, I hit the pile driver, and when I flop over, I don't know if it was divine intervention or what, but I was literally looking directly at my family, my wife and my kids and my son, and he's throwing his hands up in the air, just go for it. And it legitimately all slowed down for that one moment. And really, I hit the 1, 2, 3, and it all sped back up again, just like you'd see on any great movie clip. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect moment. Like the stars aligned. I've worked really hard to get where I'm at. This opportunity wasn't given to me. I've earned it between my times of wrestling for WWE, Impact, living in Japan, being trained by one of the toughest men in pro wrestling. I've earned my opportunity, and that night, thankfully, I was better than Nick Aldis that one night in that one moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, and now you're at the top of the world as the world champion. And what was like your family reaction of like now, like it's been a few months since like you won the title, so kind of like the day-to-day operations. So now you're just the world champion. You have that title in your office now. It's like, what's like everyone's reaction to it? Are they still like super enthused about it, or now it's like, yeah, there's Dad's belt. Yeah, he's the world champ of the universe.
Every once in a while, I see my oldest, who's 16. It'll randomly disappear from my office, and it'll be sitting on his lap while he's talking on the phone. Just, he knows how important this is. Harley was like a grandpa to him. So he knows what time and what emotions have been invested into this. So he's kind of soaking it up. The one thing that I'm having a little struggle with is people are definitely being a whole lot nicer to me, and I'm getting things handed to me that I'm not used to, and I'm a pretty, I guess you'd say, basic fella. You know what I mean? I don't need to jump ahead of the line. I can wait just like everybody else. I don't need any special treatment. I do enjoy it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie, but it is nice, you know, when you know, when people see me, they virtually roll out the red carpet for me, and you know, my wife tells me I've earned it, and the other part of me though tells me that, you know, again, I'm no different than anybody else. I'm blessed to be doing what I'm doing, but I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you, Malcolm. I do the same thing, so we ain't no different. I'm just I'm a little bit on top of the mountain right now, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure you will be for a very long time. And this
That's
moment,
my
almost
plan.
like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen. But this moment almost like didn't happen because there was a brief time that you were retired from pro wrestling. So what led to that initial retirement to the return of you now coming back to NWA, winning a national title, and eventually win the World's Championship?
I really wasn't retired yet. I was actually on the back end of it. Harley had passed away. I'd spent the last year really kind of focused and trying to do my part on what I could for Harley. I felt like it was my honor, my responsibility to step up and be there for him like he had been there for me so many other times. So when he passed away, in my mind, it kind of completed a circle for me. You know what I mean? I didn't start per se I wrestled for 2 years before I met Harley, but he had to retrain me, and he basically told me, which I was the shit, dude. I remember asking him, like, you know, how am I good? What do you think? Can I get some pointers? And you want to know the truth? Yeah, please, come on. You know, I'm just so excited. You're the shit, kid. And oh, okay. What can you tell me a little bit more on how can you describe that? Everything, you know, and it's what I needed, obviously, and that's what I need in this honesty, and he did. He reshaped me, formed me, molded me into what I am today. But I forgot the original part of the question. Now I get talking about Harley, and I forgot the original part of the question.
Yeah, it was just like what led to that eventual like return back to like join.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was at Harley's funeral, and thankfully, I was very blessed and honored that NWA sent a representative, Nick Aldis, who was a world champion, and the executive producer at the time, David Lagana. And at the end of the funeral, Nick pulled me to the side, just talking buddies. You know what I mean? I've known Nick for a long time. I was the world tag team champion when he came in to do a camp for Harley 10, 15 plus years ago. And he asked me, he goes, you know, what are you doing? I said, I'm on my way out. I'm kind of like going to start my retirement tour. And he's like, why? And I remember making the comment, I'm kind of a round peg in a square world, Nick. Like, people just, you know, they think because I'm not, jacked with a six pack that I don't have any value. And he said horse shit. He's like, come to Atlanta. Come and do one show. Like, we'll have you be a producer, you wrestle, like whatever, but just come down and do one show for us. And I said, well, I think about it. And he's like, no, you need to come down, do one show, come down and produce, be an agent. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, well, I can do that. Like, that's easy. And as soon as I got there, I walked into GPB Studios. The first thing that David Lagana asked me was, do you have your gear? And you know, I was, you know, a long time ago, I was taught you always bring your gear. You never know. And it's just a habit for me. And sure, you know, I definitely brought my gear. He goes, all right, you're wrestling Ricky Starks tonight. And that was, you know, the first match of many, you know, and I didn't win against Ricky Starks, but the crowd and the people, and even Ricky told me, like, we got way more going for you. And so I went into the back, and Billy Corgan came up and Nick Aldis came up, and they said, we've got you already booked for tomorrow's show. You've got way more in the gas tank. You know, and that's just how it kept rolling. And the great thing about NWA is there is no one picked chosen person. Like, Billy is, and the NWA itself is really focused on, you know, kind of letting the cards fall where they lay and let the crowd really kind of decide, and which it should be, how it should be, who the next guy is going to be. And that's what kind of led into my involvement with the national championship and with Aaron Stevens. And I got to go toe to toe with Question Mark and Aaron Stevens, and what a rivalry it was.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like that that initial like match back with Ricky Starks, it was so great to like see you back. So at that point, I'm like, I haven't seen Trevor Murdoch in a couple of years. Holy crap, this is cool. What was like that reaction on social media, if you had like maybe checked social media at that time, or just like wrestling fans in general, seeing you like back on like, I would say, a major stage?
It was extremely positive. You know what I mean? I've always wrestled. As soon as I got done with WWE, I had a show booked a week later. Like, I'm a pro wrestler. And it doesn't matter what stage it's on, whether it's a big stage, small stage, I'm always been wrestling. So when I actually did, you know, with NWA, and people kind of, I guess a lot of people have kind of forgotten, you know, that I was still around. It was an extremely positive, loving, supportive environment and reaction. Again, and I've said this before in other interviews, like, the people are the ones that willed me into this spot. Like, I love pro wrestling. I've devoted 22 years of my life to it. I've had some highs and I've had some lows, but I've done it my way. And I didn't believe that you needed to have a six pack and you know, be able to lift a guy 500 pounds over your head to be a pro wrestler. There are probably a handful of guys in my town that look like me, that talk like me. But I would question whether or not, if we wanted to throw down, if I would come out being the top guy, you know, I win the match, win the fight. And that's real life. You know what I mean? No offense, Malcolm, but you don't look like a killer. But you possibly, but shit, I don't know that though. Like, you know, there's gentlemen that smile while they're kicking your ass.
Nah, I mean, like, I'm chilling. I'm like a teddy bear. I just like Swiss rolls, bench press.
And you're the guy that go cut my throat when I turn my head when you're hot at. Like, there's people like me all over the world, and that's what pro wrestling was about. Was you got a variety of men and women that looked differently, that acted differently, and which made in my opinion, made for a great show for the fans, because you're never gonna like everything. Don't get me wrong. There are people that like the whole show, but at the very least, if you didn't like what was going on in this match, you knew the next match was going to be something different. And you know what I mean? And it appealed to everybody. And that's what pro wrestling should be. And that's what it's starting to go back to.
Definitely. And like the NWA itself has like such a variety of superstars, as you said before, like younger guys, former television stars. I mean, like the history of the title itself is huge. I mean, back in 2021, it would have been 44 years since Harley Race defended the title against Dick Murdoch. And now leading into like 2022, now we have Trevor Murdoch as NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion. What makes the NWA different from other wrestling shows? Because clearly, like, aesthetic-wise, like, it's in the studio. There's like a smaller crowd, but like a more like family-like atmosphere, and then obviously the talent. But like, what makes like the NWA, just watching as a fan, maybe outside the aesthetic, different from watching like your other wrestling companies?
Well, we focus on a very intimate interaction, an emotional connection. Our wrestling is, in my opinion, in our lane, we are the best at what we do. We tell old school pro wrestling stories. We put men against grown-ass men. Don't get me wrong, there's some very athletic gentlemen out there in the pro wrestling business. But Malcolm, they look like they're 12. And it's just hard sometimes to get behind and get emotionally involved into something when you have the wrestlers not come across as mature enough to really tell the story they're trying to tell. That makes any sense at all?
No, it makes sense.
Also, too, we don't try to treat our fans, and I'm sure somebody's going to take this statement wrong. It's going to be on the internet that Trevor Murdoch's burying such and such. We don't treat our fans like idiots. You know what I mean? We're very honest up front with our fans. Our wrestling is very clean cut. I mean, aggressive men and women knocking the piss out of each other, and working hard to tell you a story that you can connect with. The positive thing about having such a variety of people is that when you have such a variety, there's people like I connect with that you can't connect with, and there's people that you can connect with that I can't connect with. If everybody looks the same, you're kind of eliminating, in my opinion, 3/4 of your audience. So we really pride ourselves in going out and telling old school pro wrestling stories that everybody can watch, but also at times, you know, you may want to cover your kids' eyes because these guys are really laying the wood to each other, and you might not want them to see that.
Definitely. And like, I guess like to get into like this last part, right? So there's been a lot of people that have been calling you out. Obviously, you're the world champ. It happens. But before we get to that part, there's a lot of also world champions in the landscape of the industry. There's yourself, there's Roman Reigns, there's Brock Lesnar, etc. How would you rank all the world champions currently in professional wrestling? If you're forgetting some of them, I can tell you easily. I mean, you have yourself, Roman, Lesnar, Hammerstone, Moose, Gresham. How would you rank all these world champions?
Nah, come on, that's a hell of a question there, because there's no winners in my league. Because if I put myself on top of everybody, they're like, oh, Trevor, he's just thinking about him. I put myself below anybody, they're like, oh shit, Trevor, you're devaluing yourself. I'm gonna let you know right now, for each company right now, there is some amazing talent out there, and for right now, the companies, and my company, NWA included, are picking guys that can go out there and not only give an ass whooping, but can take an ass whooping. In my opinion, this is the generation of the tough guy. You know what I mean? Let's just randomly throw out Brock Lesnar. Right? When you look at that guy, you just see tough, aggression, pain. Like that's what a world champion should be able to bring. He should bring that here. That's what I bring. I know that, you know, I tell people jokingly, but it's a little bit of a shoot. One of my greatest offenses is that I can take a pretty good ass whooping. Like you can beat the snot out of me, and I'm too stubborn. Sometimes you talk to my wife, I'm too stupid to lay down. Like that's always been my shtick, I guess. Like I've had friends tell me, like, man, just stay down. And I just can't. My ego, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know if it's stubbornness, if it's just even, you know, I remember one time I got to a fight with a buddy back in the day, and, you know, my nose is over here on the left side, and I'm still coming to him. And he's like, just stop. Like, just let's just stop. Let's go to the hospital, man. Let's get that fixed. And it's just stubbornness in me. And I think that's one of my biggest attributes of being a world champion, is that I can wear my opponent down, not only physically, but, you know, mentally as well too. With like, this guy just won't stop.
Yeah, I mean, like, kudos for you for still fighting with like a broken nose. If I stubbed my toe, I'd cry for 10 minutes. So kudos. But there's a lot of free agents in the world of professional wrestling right now. And like, there's so many opportunities for guys to go pretty much anywhere they want. Who's like some of the free agents right now on the market? Like, if you had the opportunity to bring them in, maybe not even defend the title against, but just have like them in the NWA, maybe even face them once in a while, who would those guys be?
One guy, maybe not my, you know, I'm not saying any of these guys, they're not first or last choices. They're just guys that I think would be good. I would like to see Joe Henning or Bo Dallas in the company. I actually think like everybody should be looked at as a little bit of a free agent right now, because as soon as you get a guy from let's say Impact or AEW that does a show at an opposing company, it just stirs up so much interest and excitement. And there's been too many occasions for that to happen for us not to keep revisiting that. Like the great thing about pro wrestling now is, for such a long time, because there was only one real major company, we were kind of cattle fed idea wise with our horse blinders on, to think that you could only love and watch one wrestling company. If you didn't like WWE, you didn't like anything. You weren't a wrestling fan if you didn't like WWE. And that's just not the case anymore. You can totally like or dislike the WWE, but like AEW, like New Japan, like NWA. You can be a fan of pro wrestling. You can like it all. You can get your fix. I get my pyro and excitement over here at AEW. I get my basic okay storytelling over here at WWE. I get my hard-hitting action and basic, you know, understandable, easily digestible, fun NWA pro wrestling here. You can like it all, man. And that's where people are starting to, like, their eyes are almost starting to like awakening, like, oh, well, well, shit, I can like this and like it all, because that's what a wrestling fan is. It's not, you know, I commend you, you know, hey, if you like just WWE and you compare the world to that wrestling, hey man, I don't have no hate for you. Like that's your gimmick. But like you don't have to anymore. Like you can see wrestling through so many other different people's eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like the POV changes for every wrestling company. And for me as a wrestling fan, that's fun shit, man, because that's like, wow, I can look at it from the way they're doing it. Oh, wait a minute. I kind of, you know, I like this too. This is different. And that's why I say we're the best at what we do, because we don't see WWE or AEW as competition. We are our own competition. Because nobody can tell stories the way we tell. That's with me and Nick at 73. Like, when was the last time you can really say, like, I was emotionally invested so long into a story, into an idea between two guys just going for the title? It was way more than just that match. It was the lead up for North Carolina, the first match, the pay-per-view. Like, Nick and I were able to take the fans on this 4-month ride and have it pay off at the end, where everybody was like, yeah, like finally, you know, like one of the good guys that worked, earned it, worked for it, he got it. And that's what it's supposed to be like. It's nice to win, not just for me, but for you, for everybody, the guys and that's what I'm trying to represent as a wrestler, that if you love something, if you work hard enough, you may hear 1,000 no's, but you only need that one yes. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you just, fuck, man, you just keep working hard, and it sucks when shit don't go right. It does. And I apologize for my language, but I really feel like like strongly about this, that eventually the cream will rise to the top. You will get your moment. You just got to be ready for it. And I'm picture proof that if you work your hard, and, you know, you're going to eat a lot of crow sometimes, man, but it will pay off at the end. And now I'm the trip to the world title was the toughest. Now keeping the son of a bitch is a whole other thing.
Definitely, man. And like, you won that world title in a sold out Chase Ballroom. It was a big, very big crowd for NWA. One of the biggest in like recent history. Leading into, like, there was a tweet put out recently, I think it was by Sion. He said that one day the NWA can run Hammerstein, just like GCW did recently. So where do you feel like that the NWA can run a ballroom, I guess, like Hammerstein, and other bigger venues going in the future? And which venues would you like to see the NWA possibly run?
For sure. Just like anything else, we're going to grow, and we're getting bigger and bigger with each show. What I personally would like to see is for the NWA to not so much focus on just one place, but hitting old school territories.
Yeah.
I could see us, if we do it properly and build it properly, having a one-night trip to Hammerstone Ballroom, but then, you know, hitting North Carolina and you know what I mean, then hitting Florida and do those major territories. And I'm not talking like go in and try to dominate and just say, again, too many promoters are going to go out there and be like, oh, well, this is where we wrestle. We own this area, this region. Horseshit. We can show it. Everybody can love it all, man. And I would really like to see NWA follow like a territory style kind of system. And that's what we're closely getting to. You know what I mean? We've established ourselves in Atlanta, and that's what you need to do. We need, you know what I mean? Now we're working towards the Tennessee end of it. And I'm hoping eventually we can do a Florida run and do some Florida runs. And that's another reason why we went to St. Louis, because NWA was such a hotbed for pro wrestling, was wrestling at the Chase and Sam Munchnick and the NWA.
Definitely. And I guess to like wrap all this up, there's been a few guys, they've been talking about you. They want shots for the world title, and I would love to see his matches too. The first one, obviously, he's on the program. Everyone watches him pretty much every weekend all over the world. Matt Cardona, he's not too quiet when he talks about wanting to win all these championships. What's your thoughts on him now being NWA and everything he's doing right now, and him wanting a shot at possibly taking that championship?
Well, Matt's trying to put me in the NWA as another like stepping stone for his career to kind of bounce around and take everybody's top spot. Matt and I've obviously got some serious issues that him and I need to work out. My problem with Matt is not so much that he sent Mike Knox to come in and do his dirty work, is the fact that I know what he's here for. I'm right there, it's right behind me, but he doesn't have enough balls to say it and come out and say it. So then he wants to play this little song and dance, so I'm here to visit and hang out, but then every chance he gets, he wants to cheap shot me. Jesus Christ, man, I'm not Stevie Wonder. I can see everything that's going on. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
This is a grown-ass man's game. He bitches and complains and says that he's here to change the NWA. We're not here. We don't need him to change anything. We're perfectly fine exactly where we know who we are and we're staying in our lane. And he doesn't quite understand that. He thinks that we need all this other shit, which will blend us into everybody else. And that's not what we're trying to be. And there's a lot of fans out there that have made this. There's not a fan. There's a few fans that have made that same, like, yeah, NWA needs to change, get with the times. I'm sorry. That's like me walking into your program, Malcolm, as you're asking me to be a guest. And I'm going, Malcolm, you really need to be in a suit and tie. And to be honest with you, I think you need to have a girl next to you just so I can stare at, and do, just completely come in and tell you exactly how you need to change your setup to suit me.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, man. This is like, it's the reason why this gets me hot, gets me fired up is because a lot of things happen in life like that. And people brush it by because they don't want to have any conflict and they don't speak up for themselves. And they would rather get walked over than to have some sort of conflict. And that's, you know what, that shit don't work with me. That's not how I roll. I'm a grown ass man. If you want something from me, you come at me direct. And then I'm going to show you why I am the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion. And at the end of the night, you can tell all your internet fans the same reason why I'm the NWA World Champion, because I beat your ass.
Man, I am terrified and I'm just on a Zoom meeting. Awesome. So the next person that also had some choice words to say about you in the NWA was nZo, formerly known as nZo Moray. He was on Barstool Sports with Brandon Walker, and he said he would take you to the woodshed. What's your thoughts on nZo wanting to possibly come after the NWA World Heavyweight Championship?
Hey, man, you know what? Hopefully he hears this. I commend you for reaching for the stars, bro. But if you can't get on the bar stool to reach to the bar, you ain't gonna get a drink. Like, let's be realistic here. There's two types of men here, and you just haven't quite gotten to my level yet, son. No disrespect, but if you're gonna randomly go ahead and talk shit, that's fine. But again, you're coming to me, so you better come a little bit stronger and bring maybe a bigger lunch, because I'm not somebody that's going to listen to you talk, and I'll smack the shit out of you. Like, I mean, because there's a point in time where everything just gets real. Like, you can't talk your way out of an ass whooping. And I'm not saying that he's not a talented wrestler. I'm just saying at this point in my career and his point, like, we're on two different levels. And he doesn't want this right now. He needs to come knocking on my door when one day when I'm broken and beaten and I ain't got that title no more, then he might be a suitable opponent. But right now, that dude's a minnow trying to swim with sharks.
Man, again, I'm terrified and I'm just on a Zoom meeting. The final person that has something not nice, it wasn't nice at all, to say about the NWA was Effy, GCW star. A lot of people know who he is right now, independent scene. He said that Billy Corgan makes trope wrestling as a representative of the NWA and the world's champion. What's your thoughts on Effy possibly talking down on the...
Wait a minute, you got to repeat that first statement here because I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah, okay, I'll repeat it. He said that he literally makes trope wrestling.
What is trope wrestling?
I would love to know that. I assumed you would knew that before I would.
I have no clue what trope wrestling is. I don't know Effy. But what I can say is I understand why he's bringing up my name and the NWA name. That title right there carries 73 years of heritage, blood, sweat, tears, names that have made this business. That championship right there is the creme de la creme. Like when you look in the history books, that's the one that it all started. That's the one that started it all. So I completely understand why Effy would want an opportunity to get that championship. Everybody does. It's amazing how all these gentlemen never spoke my name, or certainly didn't run their mouth about me when I'm not there until I became world champion. I have this T-shirt that I sell on collar and elbow, and it's my statement for my life. It's a statement that I've taught my son, and I'm sure there's going to be some fans out there that are going to be like, oh, Trevor's teaching his son to be abusive. But it's a motto in life. Everybody's a tough guy until they meet one. And I use that as a reference for my son, because when he meets men or women that are loud and obnoxious and they're trying to be abusive to you, most of the time they've gotten over by doing that to somebody else, and they ran over them. But today, on that day, son, when they speak to you like that, you let them know that you deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to be talked to with respect, and you will not expect anything but respect, because that is what you give, and you expect nothing less.
I like it. Trevor Murdoch, that's all my questions, man. Where can they find you on social media, and where can they see you next wrestling?
Okay, guys, I am currently on Twitter. I am at The Real T Murdoch, at Instagram at The Real T Murdoch, and I'm on Facebook. I've got the blue check mark. So that's, it's funny. Matt Cardona goes out and buries me says I'm not relevant on social media. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's just not my shtick. Like, Matt Cardona and I have two different ways of looking at life, man, and we find two different ways of life more appealing. And nothing against social media. It gives me an opportunity to hang out with cool guys like you, Malcolm. It gives me an opportunity to connect with the world, but it's not something that's a driving force, and it's certainly not something that gives me validation like Matt does. Matt takes validation from the social media. I take validation from the NWA World Heavyweight title.
Oh man, I really want to see this match. Oh gosh. Oh, where else can I find you on social media than watch you wrestle?
That's about it, Big. And I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome. Well, guys, this is Trevor Murdoch. I want to see him fight literally everyone. Full beard, Trevor Murdoch. Find him everywhere on social media. Make sure to like, comment, share, and always subscribe. And we're out.
Also, one more thing, guys. Make sure you check out Power Trip Saturday, February 12th, Elk Grove, Kentucky.
I like it. We're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze.